Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! INDY!
A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Galloway drives all the way to the hole, throws it off, got it! And Indiana's got their first lead of this contest.
I mean, that's a goddamn Emmy winner right there.
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Jim Coyle with you as always. Appreciate you joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. It's Thursday, September 21. Our old buddy Dustin Schutte is along for the ride today. Matt Taylor expected from the coach, Chris Denari from the Pacers, and we have lots from yesterday's Indiana Basketball Media Day as we were out there meeting with the players, the coaches. Well, coach, I should say. Well, coach is Terry Morin was out there, so that makes it plural. So lots to get to there. We'll have some. We're not going to have all of that today. Well, we'd like to spread that out. But I talked to some guys that I hadn't gotten a chance to talk to or meet, like Kel Ware. And I thought later I should have got a picture with him just because he's 7 foot. I'm 6'1", and I would like to have seen the difference. I worked with Tree Rollins once, Dustin. You remember that name? Yeah, the old Atlanta Hawks big man. Played with or against. I don't know if I've told Mike Woodson that or not, but he was the GM for the Kentucky Colonels ABA team, and I was the sports information director. But he's a 7-footer, baby, and boy, you know it. And I'm like, wow, I just, being 6'1", you're not tall, but you're not short, but boy, you get around a 6 or 7 footer, whew, especially basketball players, you feel short fast.
I've told people this story. First of all, Tree Rollins also played for the Magic. He's the one that Rick Smits hit that last second shot against in 1994? So that's how I best remember Tree Rollins. But I told this story before.
I'm sure he appreciates that.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he's listening. The other thing is that I met Roy Hibbert, who was 7'2", I think, and his height is not what surprised me. I went to shake the man's hand, and I'm 5'8". He's 7'2", and I'm not even joking. His forearm is like the size of my torso.
Yeah.
I mean, just enormous human beings.
Yeah. I've talked about that before, and that crosses all barriers. I used to compete in rodeo roping, and there was the guy I looked up to, Jake Barnes, was a 6-time world champion, and I remember he lost part of his thumb at the national finals one year when I was working in the media department out there, and he lost it from the joint. Your last joint out. Well, that's common in roping, unfortunately. It's on this hand, generally, the left hand, virtually always. But the weird thing is the one joint he had left as long as my thumb.
Really?
Yes. So it's that's a difference in those kinds of athletes, man. They just can do things that we can't do. Bigger parts, baby. Bigger parts. Yeah. But welcome along, everybody. We've got a great show. Like I said, Matt Taylor from the coach, Chris Denari from Pacers joining us. We've got lots to get to in regards to IU Basketball Media Day yesterday. Mike Woodson speaking, of course. All of the players. I think we spoke with about everyone. I didn't get to speak with everyone, and that wasn't enjoyable because they had us up on what they called Media Row, and something went awry in the communication within IU, and they didn't get the guys up to us. They were supposed to bring them to us because we were up in the lobby of Simon Scott Assembly Hall, and everything else was taking place on the floor, which next year I'm going to suggest that they do everything on the floor like they do at the Big Ten Conference. It's too difficult when you've got things that are a floor difference and out of view. And I just thought of that, so I'm going to make that suggestion. But I was grateful for the people that I got to speak with yesterday. I asked some Dustin Schutte questions.
Did you?
As a matter of fact, John, if whenever you have a chance, if you go to any of my one-on-ones that I did, especially Trey Galloway, I asked him a couple things. One was not goofy, one was cool. I asked him if you could play for any college basketball team of the past, who and why. And then I also asked if you were going to be, who would you have play, what actor would you have play you in a movie?
That is a Dustin Schutte question.
I like those questions.
I went full Dustin Schutte at the end. I had to write, but I had to write those down. See, that's not something I do off the cuff. My mind gets going in that direction, but
well, let me just tell you, Jim, that I write these down and I practice them in the mirror, so that way I know what I'm going to say. I'm not even joking. That's how I prepare.
Well, next year you've got to be there with me. We have to just do that from there, because that would be a blast, to be honest with you. I mean, it really would be. But I am going to make the suggestion that they put everything down on the floor next year. I think that they're concerned about the sound, because there's a lot more sound down there. But we're using directional mics, so we don't have to worry about that. They can put us on the other end for all that matters. And because they had us really far apart from the others. Man, if you go to the Big Ten Conference media days, you're literally right next to each other. You can't hear anything because you're on mics and whatnot. So there's that. But welcome aboard. Appreciate you guys being with us. Of course, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, powered by Andy Moore Honda. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com for the best in new and used vehicles, and the Wild Food Group and the family of restaurants in and around the Bloomington and Bedford area. Great places like the Chop Shop Market and Restaurant, where I was last night. Also for the Tom Allen Show with Don Fisher. Got my Reuben that I've fallen in love with the Reuben. I think that before 30 days ago, I don't know that I ever had a Reuben. The only potential time was when I was at Katz's Deli in New York. That's the place where Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal did
yeah.
What movie was that?
When Harry Met Sally.
Okay, and she does the fake They have a sign. They have a sign that hangs down from the ceiling and says, "This is where Harry met Sally." Over. Oh,
nice! I like that.
Yeah. So,
I like
and it's
that.
just a gigantic New York deli is all it is, and but let me tell you, those freaking sandwiches
are huge.
You have to measure them in inches. I will guarantee you 5 inches thick minimum. They're just big old gigantic ones. But anyway, I might have had one then. It's been 7 years ago, so I don't remember what I had there, obviously. But that's not something I would ever order. It's got what's the
sauerkraut
on it, and I'm like, I've never been really a sauerkraut fan, but I've always not been a fan of a lot of things that my palate has changed. I can't stop eating Reubens now. I had them 2 days in a row, and I'm going to have the little bit I have left over as soon as I can. But
well, you know what's funny is I was the same as you in that there's a lot of things that growing up or even days I thought I didn't like, and when you actually try it and it's made by somebody who knows what they're doing, most food is actually pretty good. Because I would like to try. I'm not a big Reuben fan either because of the sauerkraut, but I would like to try it by somebody who knows what they're doing, because I think it would be good.
I'm telling you, I think because it's cooked, maybe they're cooking it with stuff. It's like I'm not tasting what I would think. Whatever sauerkraut they got on these sandwiches, I'm like, put that in a bowl. I think I can eat that with a fork.
There you go.
Yeah. Appreciate everybody jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline on the YouTube, as the kids call it. Just kidding. You can join us there if you can't find us on any of the great radio stations like 97.7 ESPN, The Ref, down in Evansville on the river. Up in the quarter, covering the region and all of Chicago, WJOB, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, the voice of the region. Across the state over in Fort Wayne on the Fan, Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 there. A great. All these are great sports towns, by the way. You can also find us on YouTube, of course, at Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Just hit the subscribe, like buttons, and all of that. Appreciate everybody jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Fred, Kent. I was thinking last night. I'm always surprised that anybody listens to my show, but the amount of Michigan people, I'm like, man, there just seems to be more Michigan people. That it just stands out. Obviously, a lot more Indiana people listening on radio, but Tanis, how are you, sir? John W. He's not in Michigan. He's in Southern Brown County. I like that. He had Southern Brown County to that. Differentiates. Pete is in Cicero, not Shakopee.
Wow.
Love to see that. Tanis, see. After the water froze on into ice, wasn't just there. I'm missing something, I guess. He had a new experience in the kitchen work yesterday. Freezer condenser spewed cold water all over the interior of the freezer, and he had to use I don't know. He had to use something to bust it up. That would stink. That would stink. Yeah. So glad you got that taken care of. Tanis crossed the border over in Ohio, outside of the Richmond area.
And worked.
The truth. He's down in Evansville. I hear the truth. He calls into the post game shows. Man, he's on it. Always on it. We appreciate you, sir. John on Southport as well. Who knew a guy that was 7'6"? That's big.
What?
Robert is in Northern Brown County. There's one of our Michigan peeps, Jamie. Forrest is on early from down in Georgia. Caleb. I'll get to that question in a second. Our man Fozan from Amman, Jordan. Can't miss that one. RP. Gritty down in India as well. Let's see. Tony V. Another Michigander, baby. Tanis. That's right. He is. Says that Fozan is becoming Norm from Cheers on ISB. I love that. Fozan. It goes just like Norm. Fozan. That
hey,
blows.
Mommy.
One of my favorite lines ever from that. Hey, Norm, what's going down? My butt on that seat.
He did always have good one-liners.
If he was walking in, he goes, hey, what's going down? My butt on that stool or whatever he said. That was funny. Our man Bob from my old haunt in Georgetown, Southern Indiana down there. Jamie says our taste palates change about every year, 7 years or so. Which that seems about right because you learn, you get better. Going to be up in Michigan. Philip pointing out you got the Giants and the 49ers tonight. How about Tony Souders? Haven't seen you on here before. How you doing, brother? Appreciate you. Five Lefts is on in present. Mike, another new one in from Middlebury, Indiana. And got a picture. Speaking of Michigan, I've got to get over to I got a picture sent to me yesterday over Lake Superior that was absolutely, I should have sent this to John to put up, because I don't know that it will show you for those that can see, but it was just an amazing photo of the Northern Lights last night the night before over Lake Superior. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, I'm holding up my phone and it just looks so, as a normal sunset looks, real orangey red. This is blue green, and it's amazing. What an incredible picture. And thanks again for whispering Bill Anderson. Appreciate you. Tony in from Owensboro. Appreciate you. Down there by in the ref territory. We've got to take a break. Lots more coming up. Matt Taylor will be joining us. And we've got Indiana Basketball Media Day action coming up. Brought to you by Chop Shop Market and Restaurant. Right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
I'm all alone. There's no one here besides me.
My troubles have all gone.
There's no one. I don't know what the next part is.
Maybe we should stop singing. That might be a thing.
But you gotta have friends.
I'm a flying talking donkey. Is Matt on this segment?
Yeah, yes. Unless he tells me otherwise, which he hasn't yet.
Supposedly.
Allegedly. Dude, I'm excited for Louder Than Life. I have day passes from work for every single day. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to tonight. I'm going to try. Tonight's Foo Fighters.
Nice. You got to go tonight.
I know. I'll have to go straight after work if I do,
worth it. Worth it.
Here's the one thing I'm not looking forward to if I go every day, though, is you have to pay separate parking every single day, and parking's $30.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass.
But I mean, I don't know.
My friend, I don't know if you saw. Well, my friend texted me, and then he posted on Twitter. He said that you're gonna have a great time because he went in 2014, and I think he said Limp Bizkit was there.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that was your friend. Yeah, he tweeted at both of us.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that Ken who listens to every.
I'm excited. As soon as 2014 was the inaugural Louder Than Life festival too. That was the first one.
There you go.
And I think that's the last time Limp Bizkit's been to Louisville, so it's been 8 years. So I'm excited for some Fred Durst. Is it 9 years? Oh, it's 2023. You're right. Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm real excited. Tannis, you want to sing All By Myself? All by myself. That's the song you're talking about, right, Tannis?
Why? Now, I'm going to have a bone to pick with you, John.
Oh, man. All right, 30 seconds. I'll go ahead and pull us back in.
Cool. At the Golf Club at Eagle Point, students can play for the rest of 2023 for just $299. That's right. Play as many rounds as you like for just $299. That's better than a birdie. But you don't have to be a student to play at Eagle Point. Go online to set your tee time or call 812-824-4040. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Thursday. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you from high top the 18th fairway here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Appreciate you being with us. John, I heard in the break you singing in the break. I think that they wanted you to sing solo.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Solo that none of us can hear you.
Philip said his speaker just broke. So
Way to go.
Yesterday, Indiana Basketball Media Day, of course. Mike Woodson, keynote speaker, of course. Xavier Johnson and Trey Galloway also up on the dais speaking as well. But we had breakouts with each and every one of them. John, what do you have for us, my friend?
So what I was expecting Matt Taylor for this segment, but next segment I will have Mike Woodson and your Trey Galloway one-on-one. So that's what we have to look forward to.
Now I asked him who would play you in a movie and the basketball question.
We'll have to wait and see what his answer is.
Yeah, that's a good one. I asked that of Mackenzie Mbako as well.
Okay.
And I'm trying. I think I asked him about the basketball question as well. Ironically, they both gave the same team, but I'm trying to remember if it was the same years because there's like 4 years difference between Trey Galloway and McKenzie.
Right.
But yeah, they were pretty similar. The funny thing is, when I asked Trey Galloway, I'm expecting to hear, I'll be honest with you, this is how old my brain is sometimes. I was expecting to hear either the 76 national champion, Indiana national championship team, because they went undefeated and won a national championship. Hello. Or maybe the 81 because Isaiah Thomas was on that team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that they may, but that's not how young kids think. And
that's not how
and speaking of young kids, I can't think of a younger kid than Matt Taylor, who joins us now. He's like a kid in a candy store every week, getting to call the Colts. Speak of the devil, how are you, my friend?
What's up? What's up? Yeah, you talking about children's a little weird, but that's all right. We'll move on. We'll move on.
I hear you. I hear you. That's absolutely not. How are things going in your world?
My world is good. It is like the world is spinning on its axis and it never stops. And there's always something to do, which is good. Football season's here. Week 3 starts tonight. We got Giants and 49ers, I believe. So like we said, we always beg for football to come back. And then once it's here, it's like the post office, man. It never stops, never sleeps, but it's good. How are you guys doing?
I cannot complain. It's the same. College football rolling. Now college basketball. We had IU basketball media day yesterday. So now it doesn't. Now it goes from 6 days to 7 days a week here shortly. So can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. How we looking down there? Some new faces, I assume.
Lots of new faces. That's going to be the key. I talked to guys like Mackenzie Mbako yesterday and Kel'el Ware, 2 of the new faces. And one of the things I asked him was about, a team gelling. The NFL, you got new faces a lot of the times. But this is a smaller bowl that they come into. So the changes are seen much more readily. But he said the team is just gelled on its own, which that's from a team standpoint, there's nothing that a fan would want to hear more. So the fans should be happy with that. We'll have to wait and see because Indiana's a mix of 2 things. They've got veterans at the guard spot with Xavier Johnson and Trey Galloway. And then you've got a ton of youth down below with, I'm assuming Mackenzie Mbako is going to start at a wing. Kel'el Ware, I'm assuming will start. I don't know what they're going to do with the 3 if that's going to be you've got Malik Renew. They've got a lot of options. in different manners this year, which is kind of different than what they had last year.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm excited to see it get going here. You know, the season obviously is going to get started in, mid to late November with some preseason action. So always excited to have basketball season and football season overlap. That's when it starts to get really, really fun as a sports fan. October, November, those are always two of the best sports months of the year. And so, yeah, excited to see that young team gel and excited to see how those new pieces can add to what they did last year and then maybe surpass what they did a season ago, perhaps.
Well, speaking of a season or a team gelling, obviously the Colts have got very important new pieces with Anthony Richardson, who I hope you taught him how to slide this week as he is led the team in the early parts of that game last week very successfully, then took a hit and they just kind of put him in concussion protocol. Then Gardner Minshew did a great job coming in and relief. But the thing that stood out to me was Mr. Moss. Every time he got that ball, man, I kept thinking, boy, they're making decisions. He's making decisions a little easier if he keeps doing that.
No, you're exactly right. The biggest thing that stood out from Zach Moss's performance is, yes, he ran hard. Yes, he broke tackles. And yes, gave Colts running game a little bit of a spark. A bigger spark, certainly compared to week one when running backs only accounted for 25 yards against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the biggest thing was the workload. I'm sure you paid attention to that. He was the only running back for the Colts to run the football at all last Sunday. In fact, he played 56 of 57 snaps, which is 98%, which is the highest workload of his career by far. I think his highest workload prior to that was like 74% a couple of years ago with the Buffalo Bills. So, he's been one of those under the radar pieces for the Colts. We really don't talk a lot about him, or at least we did not last year towards the end of the season because it was a down season, for the Colts. Once it became apparent that the Colts weren't going to make the playoffs, a lot of people checked out. I get it. And Jonathan Taylor's injury led to that as well. Taylor missed the last 4 games of the season last year, but since that injury and since Moss's arrival and his insertion, if you will, as the Colts main back, he's averaging over 5 yards per carry dating back to last year. And then on Sunday, he averaged over 3 yards after contact, broke a lot of tackles. I think he got close to 25 to 30 extra yards rushing on Sunday because of just running hard, breaking tackles, and just bracing for contact and moving upfield. And that's huge. Jim Bob Cooter, the offensive coordinator for the Colts, he recognizes there's a big difference between 2nd and 8 and 2nd and 5 in terms of what you can call and what's available to you on the play sheet. So a guy like Zach Moss definitely deserves the credit for his output last Sunday. Ran very, very hard, complimented Gardner Minshew and Anthony Richardson when he was out there. Now the big question going forward is, at the start of the season without Jonathan Taylor, it was going to be running back by committee. That's what you heard from Shane Steichen. That's what you heard from the Colts in terms of their approach in the running game. Last week, there was no committee. Moss was the committee. It was a one-man show, and we'll see if that continues to be the case going forward, and if the Colts can continue to afford to do that with one man handling that big of a workload. And we'll see, obviously, what happens with Jonathan Taylor when he's available to come off of PUP after week 4.
Do you expect, Matt, that I don't know when this is going to click, or maybe not click is the right word, but Anthony Richardson is obviously he plays the game very hard and he's accustomed to running the ball. At some point, though, I feel like the Colts are going to have a conversation with him like, you know what, your longevity with this franchise is more important than picking up the extra 3 or 4 yards. Is there going to be a conversation where it's as Jim said jokingly, but in a serious nature, like, hey, you got to learn to slide, you got to learn to throw it away. Those extra 3 yards in the big picture aren't the most important. I feel like that's got to be tough considering how he played at Florida, his mobility and his ability to pick up extra yardage. And then again, he's a rookie quarterback just trying to learn how to fit into the NFL.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think those conversations have either been had or they're happening right now. Certainly it's such a catch-22 because I mean, Richardson's 21 years old, and
Right.
if all goes well, and if this, if you draft him 4th overall, if that comes to fruition, he's going to be here for a decade plus. But through 2 games, actually just 5 quarters, he's now been injured, if you want to say injured, 3 different times, right? He's had a knee, he had the ankle in week 1, then a concussion in week 2. All 3 of those hits or injuries occurred on runs outside of the pocket, and he's been contacted while running or throwing 21 times already this season. So contacted on about 30% of his dropbacks, which is 4th highest among qualifying quarterbacks. And you wouldn't think that this was going to be a problem per se coming from college football. And just looking at him, right? He's 6'4", about 255 pounds. He's a big guy. I think he's actually the heaviest quarterback on an NFL roster right now. But they drafted him. Like I said, it's a catch-22. You draft him based on his ability to make plays in the running game and be a dual threat quarterback and be able to stretch and stress a defense. So you don't want to take away from his potential. You don't want to take away from just the essence in which why you drafted him. But he doesn't do too much for you from the sidelines either, right? If he's not playing, that doesn't work either. So, again, you talk about, can the Colts afford to keep pounding Zach Moss? Can the Colts afford to keep going with Anthony Richardson at this pace where, he's taking some hits? Now, I will say, the last couple of times he has taken hits, he's trying to make a play. I mean, towards the end of that game against the Jaguars near the goal line, he's trying to get in the end zone. And then in this case on Sunday, his 2nd rushing touchdown, he takes a hit at the goal line. So what are you supposed to tell a kid? Don't make a play. Don't try to score a touchdown. I mean, that's ridiculous. So I think it's just some, for lack of a better phrase, it's some unfortunate circumstances here early on in the season. For the most part, Richardson did not deal with injuries at Florida and still had the same style in terms of playing the position. So hopefully he learns from this. I mean, every experience you learn from, you categorize and you grow from. But I think when the game's on the line or it's a gotta have it type situation, Anthony Richardson is going to put his body in harm's way, which is what every quarterback would tell you. Like, when the game's on the line and I got to have it, I mean, I got to do everything for my team. But if it's, if you're at the 35-yard line in the 2nd quarter and you're trying to go from, 2nd and 8 to, 3rd and 2, maybe it's okay to slide and get ready for 3rd and short in that situation. So I think he's learning that on the fly with time and development in the NFL. And I think, his growth in that department will only come just by playing and learning from experiences like this.
Go ahead, Dustin. You got to go.
Well, okay. Well, the other question I wanted, because I think a lot of people focus on the offensive side of the ball too, and I know they gave up 31 points in that opener to Jacksonville, Matt, but I've been kind of impressed with what the defense has been able to do there. I think that the alertness on that play where they had to scoop and score, DeForest Buckner making that play in that week 1, and then holding the Texans to 20 points to get a win here. What have you seen from the defense kind of up close? I know it's probably not perfect by any stretch. It's not the best in the NFL, but I do think that they're playing really well through the first couple weeks.
Yeah, I do too. And I go back to what EJ Speed said last week, and it's something that really I really didn't think about, or at least I didn't realize it until he said it, and then it just sort of hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, the core of this defense has been together for a long, long time. They've been playing with one another for 4 or 5 years, depending on who you're talking about. And by that, I mean, Kenny Moore's been here for a long time. Shaq Leonard, Zaire Franklin, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, Kwity Paye, Julian Blackman. These guys have all been here together in this defense, and they've all been teammates with one another for 4 or 5 years, like I said. So the continuity is there, and they all know each other, and they complement each other very, very well, and they know how to push each other's buttons off the field and get under each other's skin, in a playful way, in the locker room. So, it's fun to see that unit gelling, and you're exactly right. I think it's got the makings of an elite unit, especially up front and especially against the run. I mean, so far, no, it's a small sample size, but you're talking in 2 games, the Colts are giving up just 2.5 yards per carry. And if you take away that 26-yard kind of, I don't want to say it was a fluke play, but kind of a broken down play where they allowed Travis Etienne to score late in that game in week 1 from 26 yards out. You take away that play, obviously the average is much better than that. So, defensively, you like where they're at, certainly. You don't like the fact that they gave up 190 passing yards in the fourth quarter to C.J. Stroud on Sunday, but those were some garbage yards, kind of a prevent style defense, and trying to make sure you're not giving up anything big late in the game. But at the end of the day, I like this Colts defense very, very much, and you've got Pro Bowl players in all 3 levels of that defense. Like I said, Buckner, Stewart, then in the linebacking core, Franklin. E.J. Speed's turning into a hell of a player, man. When Shaq Leonard's out of the game, which he's still on somewhat of a pitch count, when E.J. Speed's in there over Leonard, I mean, there's no drop-off at all, and I mean at all. So you love the fact that they have Franklin, Speed, and Leonard now, that trio in the second level of that defense. Then the back end, you got to shore some things up. There's no doubt about that. Again, like I said, in the second half, some big plays, to Nico Collins from C.J. Stroud in the passing game against the Texans. We'll see where Darrell Baker Jr. is. We'll see where Dallas Flowers is. But I think in totality, that defense has a chance to be special. And I think if the Colts are going to have success early on in the season, it's going to be because of their defense keeping the team in the game and ultimately, making a couple of plays late in the game to seal some of these victories. That didn't happen in week 1. It did happen in week 2. But no matter who's in the football game, at quarterback, you're going to have some growing pains and a learning curve with Minshew and Richardson. I don't know if the Colts can score, 30 points per game. That means it's incumbent upon the defense to hold down the opposition and keep the Colts in some of these games early on in the season until the offense finds flow and really starts to hit their stride.
I know we got to let you go quickly. A fan had posted that the Colts, because Minshew was awesome, and suggested, hey, the Colts should trade Minshew or offer him to the Jets and see what they can get, yada, yada. And then I saw someone, I think, put that out as a story yesterday, which I'm like, hey, man, I think a fan came up with that first. But I've got a thought right here, baby. Chad Powers. Think fast, run fast. Chad Powers. I think he deserves a shot, man.
With the Colts or with the Jets?
The Colts.
No,
Back up.
Oh, so he's like the emergency quarterback. If he's in the emergency role, yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I mean, just to have around, he's got to be great for morale, right?
Yeah, he's great in the film room. He's cutting up. He's cutting up film. He's got all those. He's got all the situational football clips spliced up. There's no doubt about that. I'm with that.
Plus, he comes with an added coach. His mom's a great coach, apparently. So you get that as a bonus.
Yeah, you don't even have to pay him. Just give him free meals.
Throw it right in. Matt Taylor, appreciate you, buddy. I love you to death. Thank you so much.
All right, boys. Be well. Have a good weekend.
You too. Have a great broadcast. Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Hey, we're back with more, and we've got some sound from Indiana Basketball Media Day yesterday coming up right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether You're
What
back,
happened?
Dustin. I don't know what happened. You just fell out for a second.
Me?
No, Dustin did.
No, I did.
Yeah, so I've got Woodson. I couldn't. Did you ask your question, Jim? I searched through and couldn't find.
No, not on the. Not on. Hell up. Oh, that's another thing. Oh, we'll talk about it afterwards.
So I got Bozich's question, which was about if Indiana will have any sort of new play style this year with the lineup, and then I got the actor question from the Q&A with Trey Galloway.
Okay, and see if you can pull up. Well, we'll do Mbako tomorrow, maybe.
Okay.
We got to stretch these out.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
This is not true, but this is funny.
Did you say it's not true, but it's funny?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's true. It probably is true to some degree. How do men get through stuff without crying? Bottle everything up until we die of stress-induced heart failure in our 40s.
Oh,
Buddy, let me tell you,
I mean,
it might take a little longer than that, but I'm working on it.
I don't subscribe to that notion anymore. I used to be that way.
Oh, I wish somebody could stick a needle in my vein and draw it out, baby.
oh.
Ba-dun-dun, da-dun-dun. Let's see.
Wow.
What a weekend of college football we got this weekend.
Well,
You know, it's the
Fantastic.
most ranked games since 2006, like ranked on ranked matchups.
Is it really?
Yeah, 2006.
How many?
A lot.
How many are there?
6.
That's it? That's the record? I mean, I know you can only have.
That is a lot. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, that's 12 top 25 teams.
That's true. But I would have thought there would be like 8 or 9 at some point.
I guess 9. Would you even be able to have? I guess you could, yeah, because that'd be 18. You could
Yeah,
have 9.
the max would be 12.
Yeah. All right, here we go, guys. Just a decoration put last on a plate, but in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering, serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas. Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of Wow Food Group. This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
welcome back. It is Thursday, and you know what that means. It's a shooty day. Soda pop shooty.
You know what we should call Thursday? We have Matt Taylor on. We should call it Matter Day.
Oh man, we're giving him too much credit. It could be Matter Day during his segment. How about that?
There we go.
But I love that is fast and uber creative, my friend. I have to hand that to you. That is awesome, and I love it. But we'll talk about that more. It is Matter Day, and what matters right now to Indiana fans is hearing about yesterday's Indiana Basketball Media Day that took place at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. We were fortunate via either myself or the Hoosier.com to get virtually everybody. I was supposed to have a certain group of guys, and I got half of them. There was apparently a mix-up, and it wasn't just me. Anybody who was up there on Radio Row didn't get who we were supposed to, but they do it differently, and I don't know why. Like it mentioned the Big Ten Media Days, everything's generally together except for last year in Minnesota, which I hated because it was not on the court. It was separate again in a completely separate room, and when you separate things like that, you're out of sight, out of mind, and it's easy to forget. Yada yada. That's why everything on the same place. It's much better. It's a better look. So I'm going to make that suggestion. But we did get to speak to some of the guys. But this is Mike Woodson up on the dais, and I believe our buddy Rick Bozich asked him about a different style of what you're used to playing. Of course, everything, like, what did he say? 56% of the time it went through Trace Jackson Davis last year, something like that. That is not going to be the case this year because they've got so many different options. You don't think Trace is going to get it 56% of the time? Trace will not, because he's not going to be there in uniform. He's going to get it 0% of the time. But his replacement, even if it's Killel Ware in that spot or whomever's in that spot, that ball's not going through that role 56% of the time anymore, because it doesn't have to. He did it last year because he had to. Because all he had basically was Trace and Jalen Hood-Schifino once everything kind of broke down. To be honest with you, from a scoring standpoint, you can't win. You cannot win at the elite level. You can't win the conference by doing that. They lost games that they just should not have lost. You've got to be tougher. We've got to be tougher. You can't lose at Iowa when you have a 21-point lead because Race went down, not because you lost him, but because mentally it affected the whole team. Man, you got to put that out of your head till the game's over, then let that sink in.
No, that's
you got to
that's true.
up. But those are the games I'm talking about. You can't lose to Iowa at home and then turn around and lose to the team that you led by 21 points on the road and let them kick the crap out of you at your own place. Can't do that.
That's true.
So those are the games I'm talking about.
Well, the games you're talking, yeah, but so you can. I think Purdue has proven, and let me preface this by saying, in terms of the Big Ten Conference, that they can win. You can win a conference title that way, the way Indiana played last year. You can't win in the NCAA tournament doing that.
Purdue's made a living on doing that.
Right. So they can win the conference. You're not going to win in the NCAA tournament. So you got to find I think you've got to find a balance, which I think that's what Indiana and Mike Woodson is looking for.
We'll certainly find out, but let's hear what Woody had to say.
Well, again, I think practice and competition and practice will unveil who starts. Because I don't know right now who's really going to be the starters. And that's important, but what's important to me, along with my staff, is getting players to play at a high level and playing together and doing it the right way on both ends of the floor. That's what's going to be the driving force in winning basketball games, I think. And, I think all our guys are curious, they're eager, they come to work, they accept coaching. And that's important when you're talking about building a team. So only time will tell. It's hard to sit here and predict anything. I would never do that anyway. But at the end of the day, hard work, guys dedicated to what we're trying to get done, will put us in position to win basketball games, I think.
There you go. I thought I was going to sneeze there. It brings up a question. He mentioned starters and things like that. First of all, there's been the talk about starters don't matter. Yeah, they do. If it doesn't matter, why are they starting? Seriously, if it doesn't matter, are these the first 5 names you put down? There's what team in what sport do you know of that does not put their best out there?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to start at a disadvantage, because guess what? I promise you, the other team is putting their best out there. Now, you have situations where in this one, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think what he's probably alluding to is it doesn't matter if you're a starter or if you're a bench player. We need you in terms of maximum potential, maximum production is what we need from you. I don't care whether you're our number 1 player or our number 15 guy. We need you to be, when you're on the floor, we need you to contribute. So that would be my guess, because you're right. Like, obviously starting matters. Now, there's some situations where in certain games, maybe a different matchup depending on defense. So, or, what the team does defensively, maybe somebody gives you a better advantage. So, but by and large, yes, if you're a starter, it matters. I'm guessing he meant we need everybody to give 110% if we're going to make this thing work and win at the level that we want to win and that we need to win to get Indiana back in the national conversation.
I agree. And he has a lot more options this year. Everybody talked about how deep Indiana was last year, and it wasn't true.
Well,
And
that is my
and that's
concern, though.
and that's what and it showed. Well, they probably should have been deeper than they were.
Hmm.
Um,
They had injuries. Like there were some
but they
injuries that
also had
affected
guys that
that.
just didn't develop. And I
Right.
kind of never really expected. I've already forgotten his name. The kid from up in the Northeast left after 2 years. Great athlete, jumping ability.
Yeah, Jordan Geronimo.
Jordan Geronimo. See, that's a lot was expected of him. Everybody thought he was going to make this jump. Just offensively, I just didn't see it. And he didn't. But anyway, for starters, I'll give you 4 that I think. 3, I will guarantee you, is going to be Xavier, Trey Galloway, Malik, Mackenzie Mbako. I think Khalil Ware has to start, I'm assuming. But then who do you put in that? Is Mbako going to play 3 or the 4? Because if he plays the 4, which is probably his natural position, then that means, all right, now you're looking at the 3. Is that going to be CJ Gunn? Is that going to be Caleb Banks? I don't think Malik Renew fits into that. He fits more into the Khalil Ware round. But then do you start Khalil Ware over Malik Renew, who is a returning player who played a ton last year? It's that 5th starting spot. I don't know. People can offer their suggestions. You can offer your suggestions. But I do think they are much deeper. Gabe Cups. Someone said positive. Let's see. I think it was Trey who maybe has said that he was really impressed. Oh, yeah, it was Trey said he was really impressed with Gabe Cups' work ethic and all that. I said, he's coming for your job. But yeah, it's so all these guys had something to say about somebody else, which was good.
Do we want to hear from Trey Galloway before we say goodbye to our Fort Wayne friends?
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and
what question is this?
Obviously, this is the actor question. The actor.
Okay,
question.
I asked these guys some goofy questions, and I asked Trey who he would have play him. Unless that's not included in the clip, is it?
I think it is. Let's just
okay. Let's go ahead and run it.
Who would you pick to play you in a movie? An actor?
Play me? I would say either probably Johnny Depp, like a younger Johnny Depp, or maybe like Leonardo DiCaprio.
First, great selections.
Did he call him?
I mean, those are perfect answers. Perfect answers.
Well, they were. That's what I was going to say first. Until I thought I heard him say that. Did he call him Leon DiCaprio?
No, he said Leonardo.
Play it again.
Okay.
Who would you pick to play you in a movie? An actor?
Play me? I would say either probably Johnny Depp, like a younger Johnny Depp, or maybe like Leonardo DiCaprio.
First, great selections.
I'm not
He
sold.
said it really fast. He said it really fast.
He said it really fast. I'm agreeing with John on this. Yeah.
All right. But I agree with it. They were great selections because on every other question with everybody else, and even with Trey on the basketball, it took a second for him to pull that up. But those were good answers. And it was not somebody that everybody hasn't heard of. So there was that, which is good.
Break.
We've got a lot more coming up in the second hour. Looking forward. Chris Denari with the Pacers. We'll talk more Indiana basketball as media day took place yesterday. Also, Clemson calls a kicker out of retirement. That's how bad things are down in Death Valley, baby, for old Dabo. We all started calling him Debo. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
Man, I love those. See, this is why we need more of those questions because those are fantastic answers.
Well, I've got
because he does kind of look like Johnny Depp. There's a little bit of young Johnny Depp in him.
Hey, I guarantee you, the girls love him, and boy, he picked two of the best. If somebody wanted to ask me that, I don't even know what in the world I would have said at that age. I'm like, what's the name of the guy that was on the Mad magazine?
I don't know the name. I know I know the character, but I don't know his name.
That's probably what I would say for me. Yeah, I would draw.
I would draw a blank too.
I would need the greatest actor in the history of the world because they would need to be to. There you go. 5 left said Ben. That's a good one, Ben Affleck. Yeah, there you go. Boy, it didn't take him long.
To Alfred Newman.
Guys, right up there. Boom, boom. Alfred
Newman?
Alfred E. Newman is the character on Mad Magazine.
Oh.
Look him up and you'll see what I mean.
Yep. I didn't know that was his name.
Well, there you learn something. Well, that's
every day.
Now, I do appreciate that one, Fred. Paul Newman. I would have gone with, I would be happy with, I'd love for it to have been Paul Newman. Robert Redford is.
I was just going to say Robert Redford.
Well, they're both blonde. Shoot, Kevin Costner's way, way, way too good looking to play me. But
Nicolas Cage.
Jimmy Stewart. Man, who else could be saving these? James Cagney. That's it. That's right. Right here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're going to take care of it on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. There you go. You dirty rat.
Oh my gosh.
On
Halloween, we should do an episode where we just talk like somebody else for the entire time.
There you go.
But you have to dress like them.
Oh boy.
Oh, Nick Nolte. There's another good blonde actor.
That's a good one.
And I wish to God I could find. I have a picture with Nick Nolte. That's a great conversation. Taken in Simon Scott Assembly Hall.
All right, here we go, guys.
Blue chips?
Of course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Ravesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Appreciate everybody being with us. Dustin Schutte along for the ride and having a little fun. We asked some of the players yesterday who would play them in a movie as an actor that they'd like, and then we turned the tables on ourselves. Had some great suggestions that I didn't think of. Paul Newman, Robert Redford, Nick Nolte was a great one. And I had a picture with Nick Nolte, and all I had was the actual little 3x5 photo. Don't know what happened to it. And it was taken right outside of the Indiana men's basketball locker room back when he was following Bob Knight for his role in Blue Chips. He was he was just wearing this like a brown trench coat, and his hair was just, Nick Nolteized, and he was just cool. And I'm like, wow, this was way before cell phones. But anyway, I had that picture. I love this one though, Fozon. Aaron Paul for Dustin. Great call.
Oh boy. Oh boy, I don't know how I feel about that one.
That's right, biatches. You'd have to be a fan of
Breaking Bad
to get that one. This one's kind of funny. Gary Busey for me. Yeah, I can.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can definitely see. Oh, William Shatner. Let me tell you, if we did the show in a character, which I am not an actor, but if I had to do William Shatner, it would be tough to stay in that character. Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
You think that would be
and myself?
You think that would be tough? I feel like after 3 or 4 minutes, you'd just go with it.
Well, his is tough because it's constant breaks and pauses.
That's true. It would not be good, make for good radio, or maybe it would. I don't know.
I don't know about that either. Robert asking, "What's up with Buddy Healed?" I think that's a question for our good friend Chris Denari when he joins us here in a little bit. So there's that. Charlie Brown for Dustin. How about that? Wah, wah.
Oh, for the love of God.
Kent says he's been told for 40 years Yul Brynner would play him. Jim Bacchus. Now you're giving names that half the people don't even know. But yes, John, do you have any more clips? Or are we good with done with the clips?
We're done for the day with those.
Okay. We have more each day. When those tons of those, you can also always go to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on YouTube. They're uploaded there where you can catch all of that. But it was fun. Like I said, I didn't get to talk to as many guys as it anticipated, but we'll get that fixed next year. I'm going to make a suggestion that they just do it all on the same level. But
you should have a suggestion box.
I'll just make my own suggestion box and deliver it and drop it off.
There you go.
But I'm going to get back to the starters for Indiana. But who is going to be that fifth starter? And we'll have to wait and see for the most part. Not because Mike Woodson hides anything. Mike Woodson doesn't hide anything. If he knew who his starters were, I don't know if he would tell you just yet, but doesn't hide much. But Xavier, Trey Galloway at the guards, unquestioned. I'm going to be surprised, and I think a lot of people are, how good Gabe Cupps is in a reserve role. Backing those two guys up, but is he going to be the backup for both? It's going to be interesting to see. Mackenzie and Baco.
Do we think there's any chance that Anthony Walker starts?
No, he's another big. I mean, you got Peyton Sparks. I mean, he's like 6'11", right? So you've got Anthony Walker, Khalil Ware, and Malik Renew, who are 6'10", 6'7" foot, and
are you 6'11". Are we? Who? So it probably depends on what they're gonna. I don't know that they're gonna play in terms of position basketball as you're.
They're not. It's not going to be what you saw last year. I can tell you that.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. So do you put in? I mean, are they going to go three guard?
That's what I'm saying. I don't.
That's why you're asking the question.
That last spot.
I feel like
sure about. I don't know if it's. Is it a 3? Is it a hybrid? A 2-3 hybrid? Is that going to be a CJ Gunn, a Caleb Banks?
Do you think
or a Gabe Cupps? Who knows? You like I said, 3 guards. You go fast and often. I don't know. But that's the good thing is those options are there that were not there last year. They did not have that option last year, especially once X went down. And I don't know how well that Xavier and we would not have gotten or seen, you would have not have seen the Jalen Hood-Schifino you saw had Xavier not gotten hurt, which that sucks that he got hurt, but it changed the entire dynamic. As a matter of fact, if Xavier didn't get hurt, he might not be here this year. And
he would not be.
And Jalen Hood-Schifino might still be. I'm not sure, but because his opportunities allowed him to do and show things. Dude, you go to Purdue and you put 35 points on the board and basically carry your team on your back and beat a team that's ranked at top 5 in the country. That's gonna send the spotlights out, and it did. But that doesn't happen if Xavier's in the game. So, but anyway, we have what we have to work with. So it's going to be interesting what that last spot is.
I wonder if there's going to be some sort of rotation based on matchup. Not like a constant rotation, but in terms of like, is one guy going to start 20 games and another guy going to start 10? I mean, a lot of this depends on chemistry and what your rotation is going to look like. But when you have this type of depth at guard and at the bigger positions, you can kind of play, you can match up better from a game-to-game basis, which is what I thought they would do last year. They really didn't, but they would have the opportunity to do that. So that is going to be interesting. I don't know. What's their I haven't looked. I'll bring it up right now, actually, because you might be able to tinker with some of this stuff early in the season. They got the exhibition games, Florida Gulf Coast, Army, Wright State, before they play Connecticut. So you might be able to tinker around a little bit in those first couple games with the starting lineup to see what works best before you play UConn in the Empire Classic on November 19th.
Absolutely. And we'll see that. And yeah, and I know for those of you that are watching and listening on YouTube, there was a comment that's up here that I'm not going to repeat on the air because I got that same information in July. So before everybody jumps off of the diving board on that, you have to wait until you verify things like that. And that's why. And there's a key word mentioned in it, and I'm not blaming you, KT. But it's asking if anyone else has seen or heard that rumor. That's the key word. That's what it is. Until it is not a rumor, it's a rumor. I will tell you right now, I had multiple texts to me in July with that same thing that's written right there. This past July. And one of them came from somebody that I realized, I was like, oh, wow, that's why you don't go to Facebook for news. Just go to news for news.
Right.
Just go to the news for the news. The news will come to you. I promise you. You're not going to miss it. But yeah, that's something I'm very, very leery of. I try to be very leery of across the board, but especially something like that. So there's that. Caleb, who is very, very in tune and actually a contributor to the Hoosier.com in sorts. He says he'd be pretty surprised if it isn't Xavier, Gallo, Mbako, Renew, and Ware. And that would be a pretty pretty staunch lineup. It's going to be interesting to see Mbako and Renew. They're very different. Mbako is, Renew and Ware. Gee whiz, you talk about you're back to having two bigs in there, but Khalil Ware is a different type big. But I think that Malik Renew, even with that size, is going to try to play a little farther away from the basket, more than one would think. And that serves two purposes. One, if he has improved his game to do that, then that in and of itself is a bonus. But also, you're drawing a big out. Who's guarding Renew? Let's say Purdue, for example. Who is Mount Edie going to guard? Is he going to try to guard Kel'el Ware, who should be much faster and quicker? Or is he going to guard Malik Renew, who's 6'10" and 3,000 pounds? He's a big dude, man. He can. Yep. He's the only guy on the team that he's going to have to guard Edie on the defensive end, no doubt. He's going to have to put that butt into Edie, because that's it. That's the thing that Edie has. You can't move him, right? But he also is not that athletic, and so that's where I think that Indiana can make life difficult on him again if you've got Malik Renew guarding him, and then you've got someone like Kel'el Ware collapsing down at times. He's going to have to get better at passing out to his Purdue teammates, and they're going to have to knock down shots. Something that Trace Jackson Davis did very well last year. He just didn't have the guys that could knock down the shots at times.
That would be the thing for Purdue. I agree with you. I was going to mention, I think if you put Malik Renew on Edie and then have Ware come over to a double team or collapse, or to help out and force him to kick out, because his passing is not bad, but Purdue's 3-point shooting was not good last year. And so that's where the issue is. If Purdue can't hit open shots, then that's going to be, again, an issue. So, but they're going to have all kinds of, this is where they do have, Indiana's got some options because of their athleticism. Malik can he's not crazy athletic, but he can step out and hit long jumpers, so he can pull guys away from the rim. It's not his forte, but he can do it.
That's the point I was making. 5Lev says he likes what he's hearing about Caleb Banks. Well, we saw what Caleb Banks wants to bring last year. When he got his minutes, I use the same phrase every time because it was Mike Woodson saying, hey, make the most of your minutes. He made the most of his minutes. He was kind of an undersized. Sometimes he played undersized, but successfully. So there's a guy that could slide into that 3 spot. Is that CJ Gunn and Caleb Banks, alternating at the 3? You've got Gabe Cups behind Xavier and Trey Galloway at the guard spot. You've got Peyton Sparks, Kel'el Ware, Malik Renew, Anthony Walker for bigs, Mbako out on a wing. They've just got more pieces. And someone asked, what's the 7-8 rotation? I think I just named it, unless I'm leaving somebody out. But
so here, that's the crazy part. How many guys do you think they're going to go deep on this?
Well, that's never known until the season gets going and you see who is really.
Well, I'm aware of that, but we're also we're projecting starters here. We don't know who's going to start.
Well, that's one thing. But I think, all right, so you got Xavier Johnson, definitely, Kel'el Ware, Gabe Cups, Malik Renew, Caleb Banks, CJ Gunn, Mackenzie Mbako, Trey Galloway. That's 9, right? Am I at 9 or 8 or 9 already?
You think Ja'Kai Newton's going to play?
No.
Okay.
And just because of the injury. And he would add another wrinkle to it if he were. But I think that because of the injury, no. But if I can't remember if I was at 8 or 9 there. But and of those, who did I? All right, I didn't mention Anthony Leal. I did not mention Ja'Kai Newton.
Anthony Walker, did you mention him?
I don't think I did, but he's an unknown, listed at 6'8". So he's going to be in the rotation early, and that's going to get cut down. And depending on his play, he's a senior, a veteran, but he left to school. So
what I would say is the optimistic thing. We talked about this last year, so I'm saying this and take it with a grain of salt because there's a level of you have to see it for me to believe it because I haven't seen it yet. But on paper, it looks like every position on the floor has a legitimate backup, and that's a good sign. Like you could have 2 guys for each position on the floor at least. But I said the same thing last year, and that was not the case at all. So it's a little bit to me, believe it when I'll see it. But on paper, it looks like this team has a legitimate, 10-man rotation they could go with and feel comfortable with everybody on the floor. We'll see how that works out. Obviously, we got a couple months here, but on paper, there's a lot to be optimistic about.
Well, we've got a 3-man rotation we're about to go with as we take a break. Come back with Chris Denari right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether it's at...
How about that segue?
Beautiful
Good morning,
segue.
Chris. Oh, you got yourself muted. I don't know if you know that. Let me see if I could do it on my end. I don't know. No, it won't let me because it says you muted yourself. If you can't, there may be like a little, if you see the microphone button on your screen, Chris, it might have a slash through it. Click on that if you see that.
We have to just
They're all. Oh, there
Okay,
we
now
go.
I'm good. Now I'm good.
Cool.
I
Good.
had unplugged it because I had to redo something, so I was looking down. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, how are you? How was great pictures, man. Those were great
thanks.
family photos. I'm like, those
Yeah.
are wall hangers, baby.
Yeah. I've gotten many people said, "Hey, those are from a magazine."
Wall hangers. Looks like he was doing an ad for one of those clothing stores.
Well, my wife coordinated, we all had to have certain colors that sort of offset. So, yep. She's still down there. She's got like another 40 days.
Where was it?
Were we? Paul?
Yeah.
It's between Myrtle Beach and Charleston.
Do you know
The Muffin Man?
Brett Hutton?
Was he Learfield?
Yes. Yes.
Here's
to
an
introduce you to because he has a place there in Charleston.
Here's an interesting story that many people don't know. 1999, I almost took the job to run IU Learfield. 24 years ago, but I didn't.
Probably a smartest move you've ever made.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today because I would have given up being on the air,
and you wouldn't be there today.
Right. Yep. Sometimes it's the move you don't make.
Amen. All right, here we go, guys.
Now, fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by Hank's Pizza Mac. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday, and that means our good buddy Chris Denari, our world traveler, fresh off of some beautiful family trips. Great family guy, and too bad you all couldn't have seen these pictures. Nice pictures on the beach. They look like they were shot by I don't want to say GQ magazine. It looked more like an all persons magazine, but I'm surprised we don't have one of those pictures right behind you, man. Those are they were all wall hangers, man.
Yeah, she did a great job. Hannah down in Myrtle Beach area had worked with our daughter-in-law and our son on some pictures down there. And so my wife hired her, and I sent you guys I think 2 pictures, maybe. We have hundreds to go through. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It's the first time that, again, 2 weeks ago, all 9 of us, we've got 3 boys, 2 grandsons, 2 daughter-in-laws. So it was the first time we had all been together as a family, first time, because our one grandson's just 10 weeks old. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we're planning on doing that every year. It really works best for all of our schedules. You know, as you get to the holidays, when you're an NBA broadcaster, you got a lot of games in and around Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then, you know, when you have kids that are married, you've got to share them, right? You've got to share them with other families. So we just felt like Labor Day week down on Pawleys Island was something that we wanted to do and make an annual trip. And that's exactly what we're doing. I've already booked the house, same house that we had last year for next year. And we'll have to make an adjustment as grandkids get older, because, you know, you'll have school that gets in the way, right? But it's something definitely for the next five or so years we'll be able to do.
I had flashbacks and a little bit of trauma when Jim mentioned GQ and a Pacers figure, and in the same sentence. So I don't know if I had gotten quite over that 2013-14, which was interesting. I don't know if people saw this over the summer, Chris. I'm sure you did, but it was interesting when they Jeremiah Johnson and Scott Agnes, maybe I can't think of who does the podcast. They had Roy on for the 10-year anniversary of the block shot against Carmelo Anthony. And he made a mention that they could do an entire podcast on GQ magazine and how the season kind of went derailed after that GQ magazine shooting. So that was just something that was interesting, because it was always a joke on Twitter, like things went downhill after that magazine cover. But Roy kind of alluded to the fact that that was real for the players too.
Yeah, and that was the year that they made the trade. They brought in Evan Turner for Danny Granger. And I really thought at the time that was the trade that I thought would put the Pacers over the hump, because you had, we all know from the Midwest, a terrific Big Ten player of the year, had played well with the 76ers, was going to either start or probably come off the bench. But for whatever reason, it just never melded together. You think back to those 2 years, 2013, 2014, the Pacers made it to the Eastern Conference Finals twice, got beat by LeBron James, Wade, and Bosh with the Heat. But, boy, they were so close, and they just came up short. And, yeah, that season was interesting, because I think if I think about it, the Pacers started like 37-7. I mean, they just had an unbelievable record. They ended up winning 56 games, but they're 56-26. So really, after that 37-7 start, they were really about a 500 team. And so you just never know what happens during the course of a season. That was unfortunate that team came up just a little bit short.
Yeah, it was those 2 seasons were, and John and I think even talked about this. Those were some of the most euphoric years of watching Pacers basketball since the Reggie days. It was just that was a lot of fun, especially that 12-13 season, because you kind of saw them coming, and then they had a real chance. I think that was the series that went to 7 games. They had a real chance to get to the NBA Finals, and then obviously they weren't able to get the job done in the following year either. But that was a lot of fun. I don't know, Chris, if you're able to touch on this or not, but what's not a lot of fun maybe is the contract negotiation with Buddy Hield stalled. So now there's a potential trade looming for Buddy Hield, and he's done a great job since he's been in Indiana. He seems to mesh well with the players. I don't think it's like an I want out situation. I think it's a business decision on both ends.
Yeah, it sounds like there was a contract offer, an extension offer made, at least what I read. I mean, Shams does a great job, covering the NBA. He and Woj from ESPN, Shams from The Athletic, and he's also on the rally at times before Pacers games. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you're not going to hear anything official from the team. I know they value Buddy. Buddy shot 42% from 3-point range last year. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA. In fact, over the last 5 years, I saw a note today, he's got more 3-point field goals than anybody else in the NBA. So, that's hard to find out there. The one thing the Pacers have, and I was in on Monday, you had everybody there working out, but I think Buddy was coming in from the Bahamas, Miles was coming in, and Isaiah Jackson. Everybody else was there, and they were playing pickup. Bruce Brown was on the floor, Obi Toppin, Tyrese had just gotten back from the World Cup. I think Tice wasn't there as well. I think he's still in Germany. But you just look at all of the players that they have, and you wonder, well, who's not going to play? Because they've got 15 guys on the roster, and I would say it's as deep a roster, 1 to 15. I'm not saying it's the best roster that the Pacers have had the last 10 or so years, but I think it's the deepest roster from 1 to 15. And so there are some guys that, played a lot last year that might not be in the rotation when the season starts. So all of these things will be interesting to follow. I love Buddy, and I think Buddy is a great asset to the organization and the team. I think Kevin Pritchard said as much back during exit interviews in April, but they also have to assess things from a financial point of view. He is on an expiring contract. They do have a lot of depth at that position, so they've just got to figure things out. I mean, does that mean Buddy's going to be gone? No, it doesn't. You've seen a lot of players play somewhere in the final year of their contract. I mean, if you look at it, Obi Toppin is, I think, restricted next year. He would be in the final year of his contract. Jalen Smith would be in the final year of his contract. Wara, Neesmith, all of those guys are really in a similar situation to Buddy. It's just Buddy's a veteran, and the other guys are more in the restricted area, right? The Pacers have a chance to match those types of things. So I just think it will be interesting to follow here in the near future.
And of course, everyone waiting for this season, because another new season, but they had so much unexpected growth last year. So there's always excitement with the new year coming around, but there's also a lot of unknowns. Like we were talking about Indiana basketball with so many new faces. College has become like pro in a sorts, because you've got the trades and the different guys come in that are not going. But the thing about college is a lot of them aren't going to be there long. You don't get guys that come in with a 3-year contract,
right?
And like Mackenzie Mbako or Khalil Ware, 2 of their expected stars, they both plan to and want to be in the NBA next year.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've said this, a lot of people a number of years ago would say, they follow college basketball and they don't watch as much NBA because they lock into their team and the people that are going to be on the roster. That's not true anymore. I mean, we've seen that college football. We see what, Deion Sanders did and what a wonderful job he's done. But I think they have 80 new players. I mean, Mike Woodson has a number of new players. And you're right, Jim. When players sign contracts in the NBA, sure, a lot of players sign a 1-year deal, but most of those deals are multiple years. In college, it's a year-to-year process. It's always been like that, but never more so than now. And so I think the one thing about the Pacers this year, it'll be interesting to see how the front office, the coaching staff, the players, and the fans manage expectations. Some people feel like they should be a playoff team. That would mean 1 through 6. Some people feel like, well, what they need to do is take the next step and get into the play-in and then try to get into the playoffs. So, I know that this group is hungry. A number of these players have never played in the postseason. I mean, Buddy Hield hasn't. Tyrese Halliburton hasn't. A number of guys have been on teams that have had success in the postseason, but they didn't play that much. I mean, Jordan Nwora has a championship ring from Milwaukee, but was a bench player. Aaron Nesmith was a really good player, but could not get off the bench very much in Boston behind Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jalen Smith played in Phoenix before he was traded to Indiana, but didn't play a lot. So you have a lot of guys that are hungry to be in the postseason and to contribute in the postseason. And that's the carrot at the end of the year that they're trying to get to. And we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out. I'm pretty bullish on this group. I think Bruce Brown adds a huge dimension to this team because of what he went through last year with Denver. He was the 6th man. He played a lot. He can share that experience with these guys. And I think that's going to be a big factor in how the Pacers progress this year.
I think it's interesting that you bring up expectations because for the longest time, and I don't like to, talk down to how any previous roster was assembled, but for a while there, it was kind of like, yeah, the Pacers might get into the play-in or they might get into the playoffs, but they're not going to do much. Like that was just how the roster was assembled, and in today's NBA, you just didn't get the feeling that they were going to match up very well with a lot of teams in the postseason. But I feel like whether or not they get to the play-in or whether or not they get to the playoffs, the way this team is assembled, at least right now, you feel like there's an upward trajectory. You feel like in a couple of years that this team can compete in the Eastern Conference and potentially get to the NBA Finals, especially with now you don't have – I say that I don't know that it's completely dead yet, but the idea of a super team, you don't necessarily have to have that. If you have depth, if you have one really good player on your team, anybody can get to the finals. We've seen a lot of teams do it a lot of different ways. It just feels different in terms of expectation because I feel like now people are like, okay, now we've got a different brand of basketball. It's exciting. It's fun. We see the potential there. What's the next step? And I don't know whether that, even if they miss the playoffs, I still have an optimistic long-term outlook for this team. And I can't say I had that 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think the key words, you said it, Dustin, potential and hope. I mean, those are the things that franchises sell. You sell, if you're one of those teams going for a championship, you are trying to sell championship. But then that next step is you're trying to sell hope and potential. It's those teams that you don't feel like you have much potential or hope. Those are the tough years. And by no means do I think the Pacers are in that situation. Maybe they were a few years ago, but now that they've churned out and made changes to the roster, to your point, the way they play is exciting and I think sustainable for the next number of years. Now, the one thing they've got to do, they've got to be better defensively. They've got to be a better rebounding team. I think they were 28th in both of those categories last year. And they don't have to be top 15. But if you can progress and get to 20th, if you can be the 20th best defensive team or rebounding team, this team will take steps forward because I think offensively, they can be one of the best teams in the NBA. I think the other thing to your point, Dustin, is the last 5 years, we've had 5 different champions in the NBA. And that's
Right.
the first time that's happened in a long time. And so I think the parity in this league right now is as great as it's ever been. And that gives a lot of hope to a lot of franchises. And over the last 3 years, you've seen Milwaukee win and Denver win. Two teams, Milwaukee last won a championship 50 years ago. Denver had never won a championship. So I think that gives a lot of hope to different fan bases and different markets across the league.
So what's up next as you prepare for the season? You're getting close. I talked earlier about how, man, it was so nice during the summer to kind of have some decompression, because when it hits, it hits like a baseball bat and doesn't stop. It's like going through a car wash over and over and over, which I'm not complaining, but it's about to get there for you, man.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've started working each night. I work on one team, maybe two, updating all my charts, making all the trades, getting the roster set. So what I try to do is I basically, sit here and watch the Reds or watch the WNBA playoffs. Or
you mean
the Reds?
Are they now the Deads?
No, I don't. You know what?
I was thinking that last night. I'm like, I'm not going to call them the Deads because it's set up for them to win. They're set up.
I was very depressed after yesterday. They were up 3-2 going to the ninth, and couldn't.
And
lock
the bull
it down.
has been so good.
Yeah, with their closer on. But here's the good news. I looked at the standings today. There's still only one game out of the final wild card spot. And they have the tiebreaker with the Cubs. And the Cubs got beat last night by Pittsburgh.
It's the Diamondbacks that's the concern because they won.
Right. But so it's Phillies, Diamondbacks, and then you have Cubs, Marlins, Giants, Reds.
Oh, I was thinking that they were all fighting for that last spot. Okay.
Yeah, that last spot. So the key is, as I looked at it, they have the tiebreaker with the Cubs because they won the season series. So I felt like yesterday after watching that game, they were dead. But when I looked at the standings today, I said if they can just win games. Now, they've got 3 games with the Pirates, and then they end on the road. I think their last 3 games are in St. Louis, and I think maybe they're in Cleveland. I can't remember, but they're not dead yet. But, man, yesterday that was a heartbreaker. But like I said, I've been working on my charts. I am playing in a golf outing today. I'm getting ready to go to the Fort, which is a great course on the northeast side of Indianapolis. So I've still got hopefully a few more rounds of golf left. But yeah, once October hits, I'll be downtown a lot watching training camp and getting ready for the season. And then it all starts. Our first preseason telecast is October 16th. We'll also have a telecast on the 20th, and then opening night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, almost at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, is October 25th. So, unfortunately, as the season starts, I think 11 of the first 17 games are at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So, not on the road all that much when the season starts. It's I think most of those road games, I think we're on the road 10 of 15 in March. So it'll be heavy after the first of the year. But before Christmas, we're at home a lot.
Anything, Dustin? He's good, baby.
He's ready.
We gotta take a break and let our buddy go.
All right.
Chris, glad you're back. Good to see you, and look forward to seeing you soon.
All right.
I want to make some Pacer games this year. Me and Dustin are going to be the Chris Denari cheer club. We're just going to try to get near him and wave some. We need to get some fake Chris Denari masks.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Buddy, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Chris Denari, Indiana Pacers, here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Ba-da-ba-da-dum. Ba-da-ba-dum. Getting married?
He's
that
thinking
song?
about it. Is that song? Did you really just that? Is that?
Sometimes things just pop in my head. I was thinking about the like the graduation song.
That's different, yeah.
Dun 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 dun. That's the president's song, isn't it?
That's the president's song.
That's the president.
Excuse me. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. That's the one I'm thinking of. There we go.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. How much time we got? Minute 20. I know this is old news, but did you all see the lead singer of Smash Mouth died a couple weeks ago?
I did.
I did.
Too bad you can't play one of their 2 hits.
I know. It really is. It's either that, it's either All Star or I'm a Believer, which isn't even their song. They also had Walking on the Sun, which is underrated.
Walking on the Sun.
That was their best one, man.
Why can't we be friends?
I can be walking on the sun. Maybe you can play just the music part.
I don't think.
Seriously.
I'm not going to try.
10 seconds of it?
No. If it had just happened, like if he died like yesterday, maybe, but this is old news already. I just didn't know. We never brought it up before because it happened like the same time as Jimmy Buffett. All right, here we go.
Play at Eagle Point. Go online to set your tee time or call 812-824-4040. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville and Evansville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday as we head into a late night game for Indiana football this Saturday night. Under the lights, a blackout for Indiana football, wearing their ghost uniforms, as they call them, Dustin.
Terrible. I hate every second of it. Every thread of it, I should say.
The black uniforms?
Yes.
Boy, you're out of your mind. I love it.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say about this. The uniforms themselves do not look bad. They look good. The uniforms themselves. I hate when teams that don't have black in their colors adopt black for a blackout game. I hate it. Lean into your. You can do a whiteout. You can do a candy stripe out. Lean into your school colors. Look at Illinois just against Penn State. They did an orange out.
Then they would have to do a cream out.
Okay, then do that. That's fine.
That sounds so. Do you know how empowering that does not sound? Indiana's going to do a cream out.
Just say it's white. Nobody cares.
Yeah, but the blackout, it's under the lights. That's part of it. I love it. I love it because it's different. It's not going to be something that they wear. This is like a one-off. So it's cool. I love it. I like to see it. And adding black to a color for like that is no different than adding white. Indiana's colors are what they are, but virtually any and every school does this. There is no.
That's my problem. Everybody's doing it.
No, they won't. Who's doing a blackout this week?
Well, maybe not this week, but everybody has adopted a black uniform, and it's ridiculous. It's annoying.
I disagree. I like the option.
I don't like the option at all.
I miss the chrome helmets. The chrome stripe, the candy stripe with the chrome. Man, those were awesome.
I'm fine with that.
Sexy. That was Kevin Wilson era, and those were sexy.
Gone. And they're gone.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with that.
Gone.
I'm fine with that.
I do want to throw something out, though. Let me throw something out real quick. The one time Indiana football has used black, so there is a bit of a correlation. It's when Cam Cameron was coach, and he had the black helmets with the oval. That's a way you could bring the black uniforms in.
Stop. Repeat that one more time so I can make sure you delete it. What? What did you? Well, this conversation has come up in the last few days with not just you. What'd you say again?
I'll go. I already know what you're going to say. I know you don't think they should use the oval uniforms or the oval helmets because it's a Cam Cameron thing.
No,
but who cares?
For one, it's not an IU logo. He did not have permission to do that.
Then why'd he do it? How'd he get away with it?
I don't know that they knew it was coming, and by the time it happened, it was too. I don't know the story behind it, but I can tell you this: it did net me 2 free bag chairs from Myers once. I remember being in a Myers and seeing that they were selling. I was in Louisville. They were selling Louisville bag chairs, Kentucky bag chairs, and they had IU bag chairs. You know, the chairs go into a bag, pull out, and boom. But for the IU logo, they had that oval logo. And I'm like, what in the hell are they doing? And so I contacted their marketing department. I said, you guys are using the wrong logo. I said, that's not an Indiana logo. And so they recalled all those chairs. I should have bought 2 of them just as a collector deal.
Even though you hate them.
Even though I hate them. Because there's people like you that like them, but they sent me 2 new ones with the correct IU logo on it, which was nice to get 2 free chairs, which have long worn out and are gone. Bam, there you go.
2 things. Number 1, where were you shopping?
Myers, whatever it is.
Okay, okay.
It's like
you said
Kroger
Myers at first.
Kroger's.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
Myers supermarket. It's their supermarket.
Oh,
but yes,
it's just Meyer.
But in that phrase, it should just be Meyer.
Okay.
I was at Meyer.
So
yes, I was at Meyer.
You did not like, because it was not IU's logo. I don't know why I'm getting chastised here. It's not IU's colors. Black is not IU's colors. So what's the difference?
But they're not trying to change it to IU's colors. This is a one-off. It's a one-off. It's just
they're going to use it. It's a one-off that they're going to have in their rotation for probably years to come. They're not just going to wear this for one game.
I'm not going to disagree with that, but they always change. They always change. I think that once they use a uniform, they don't bring them back a lot.
My only complaint with the timing of doing this, and again, I know you don't really know game times in advance and whether you have a night game at a certain week and that kind of thing, but you're calling it the Ghost uniform.
I don't get that.
To Halloween.
Well,
also
maybe that doesn't matter, but that's just the way that my mind works.
Well, for one thing, I guess maybe they wanted to do it in a game that they know they're going to win.
Well, here's the other thing, though. How good is a blackout going to really look in Memorial Stadium against Akron?
Bingo. That's another thing.
But it's also the only night game that they know that they're going to play.
That's true. I get what they're trying to do.
And that's what it's about. It's about the timing, because they don't, and that is out of their control. They do not know when these games are going to be, for the rest of the season, except for maybe the next week or so. TV just keeps changing, and that's dictated by success, to be honest with you.
They could have just done white and worn it whenever the hell they wanted. Go all white, all in on all white. with a little red trim. Oh, it would look fantastic. And then everybody at Memorial Stadium wearing white, a whiteout against a night backdrop. That would look way better, by the way. Have you seen the whiteout at Happy Valley? And I'm not comparing, but it looks phenomenal on television.
It also may look worse with a half-empty stadium than a blackout would look with a half-empty
It's going to
stadium.
look No, it's going to look the same.
Maybe.
The bleachers are silver and they blend in better with the white than they do the black.
All right. This reminds me, college pick'ems. I haven't talked about it enough this week. Make sure that if you're in it, to go fill your picks out. I have forgotten to look at it so far. Whoo! I went 5 for 5 last week, man. Or 5 and 5. 5 and 5. No, 5 and 5. It was terrible. It's a horrible week. I was doing great. Last week was a kick in the backside. Some interesting games on this week's docket. The first one is Auburn and Texas A&M, and this is a close pick. You've got right now 41% on Auburn, 59% on A&M, who has struggled. You've got Florida State at Clemson, which Florida State looked mere mortals last week, and they're at Clemson. Here's a great Pac-12 matchup. UCLA, number 22 UCLA is at the Utah Utes, number 11. Oh, boy. Ole Miss at Alabama. Alabama is struggling. Lane Kiffin has been trolling Saban again. And I didn't get to finish it, but there's potential trouble down in I forgot. I'm losing a blanking where Oxford. Trouble down in Oxford, Mississippi.
Yeah.
My daughter goes to school there. You'd think I'd remember that quickly. But a player has sued Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss for mental health neglect, all kinds of charges. I haven't finished reading it. Seems a little shocking that all of that could go on, but we'll see. Getting back to the games, BYU is 3-0, but they're at Kansas. And Kansas is a freaking scoring machine. Kansas is a football program that has stunk since the dawn of time, but they have been crazy good the last 2 years. So, again, things can change. I'm telling you.
They can.
Number 14, Oregon State at number 21, Washington State. Again, another Pac-12 matchup. The Pac-12 is fun.
Hey, not only that, this is the
leftover. This is the leftover bowl.
It is. It's the last two remaining Pac-12 schools. But here's something that's been interesting, Jim. So you talk about the Pac-12 being fun. Right now in the college football playoff projected, if there was a 12-team playoff this year, the Pac-12 would have 4 teams. Washington at number 8, Oregon at number 10. I'm sorry, USC at number 5, Washington at number 10, number 11.
Well, we lost you there, but the last two, what were the last two?
Sorry, Oregon at 10 and Utah at 11.
And
5 was USC and 8 was Washington.
And we're talking.
By the way,
2 of those teams and the number 1 and number 2 Heisman Trophy candidates might be on those USC and Washington.
I was just going to say
that leads the nation in yardage thrown. 444 yards a game in addition to total yards thrown. Shedeur Sanders is second, but
that dude absolutely
MPJR, baby.
That dude absolutely torched Michigan State, and I wondered if people were crying in Bloomington over that performance. My God, that dude is incredible when he's healthy.
I think he tied the Big Ten record when I was there last in 2019 of 20 consecutive passes in a losing effort up there, the game that they should never have lost. Boy, I still can remember that. Whop Fillier catching a punt at the 4. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Indiana gets stuffed. punt the ball with less than 2 minutes to go in the half, and they let them score. But anyway, we've got to go. It's unbelievable that it's that time already, but what a great fun day again, as always. Can't thank Matt Taylor enough and Chris Denari, but big thanks to our buddy Dustin Schutte. Miss you every day, man. Can't wait till we can do it more, but looking forward to next Thursday. But big thanks to John, the producer, for keeping us between the white lines, of course. And most importantly, thanks to each and every one of you. Without you, we have no reason to be here. Hit the subscribe, like buttons on YouTube if you follow us there. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow to do it again. And until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.